Hey everybody, welcome to episode 3 of We Talk You Listen. This is Tricky.
I'm Soul.
I'm Deadly Virus.
And I'm Nuna Bites.
And we have a special show for you guys this week. We're going to do a Halloween special and talk about some scary moments in gaming. I'm sure everyone out there has some scary moments that you guys could probably share with us. Noon, what's the first thing we have up on there?
We're gonna discuss top scariest moments. Ooh.
Ooh.
Yeah, that was ultra
Should I?
cheesy, much like
I was
all of us
gonna
are.
put on the voice filter, but it's not gonna come through on Audacity. So
No, it won't, my friend.
Oh, sad face.
But yeah, so I think everybody must have played at least one game in their life that might have been a little bit on the scary side. Soul, for you, what would be your top scariest moment of any game you played?
Well, I'm gonna have to go with, since it's me, Okami, where there's a place in Okami called the Cutter's House. Shut up, Nuna. And these people are actually, spoiler alert, demons. That's not a real big spoiler, but whatever. And they come after you trying to kill every single thing, and it is really creepy because you're running through the field, it's all happy, flowers are coming up behind you, and all of a sudden you go into this completely different area. The music, everything gets dark, the music gets dark, and it's just really creepy. So yeah, that's a really scary moment for me, and a really happy game.
And for just really quick, like, if people who don't know, since like Soul is a big Okami fan, and none of us dislike Okami, we all like it, but we just like to heckle him from time to time. So anytime he mentions Okami, if you hear us laugh, you know why.
everything is Okami.
I know.
We're gonna do like we could do any top 10 list. He's gonna list Okami.
Well, I was
Just ask that. Oh God, no.
I was going to say the Super Mario 64 piano, but I thought that was kind of a cop-out, so I wanted to go for something more original and more me. So that was my choice.
And that was very you.
It was very me. Thank you, Tricky.
Dead, what do you got for us?
Now this is a toughie, but I think for me, scary in games is more general atmosphere than a specific moment. And
Yeah, I agree.
well, I'm trying to think really hard here, and it's a funny thing you mentioned Super Mario 64, because I've mentioned this before and it's so odd, but it just gives me strange vibes whenever I play it. It's just got this certain atmosphere, like the Bowser laugh, the eel, the piano, that entire like the haunted house level. I forget what it's called. The lava level was kind of hellish as well. It's a level of eeriness I don't think Nintendo has ever matched with a Mario game.
Yeah.
Yeah, those.
Did any of you drop your console system after that piano wanted to stomp on you?
That piano, so scary. So was Bowser's Laugh. As a kid, I had to play with the volume all the way off because I was afraid that scary laugh would just come out of nowhere and try and get me. I was just that scared of it. Then again, I was like 3, so.
That laugh tormented my nightmares.
Oh, I could see baby Soul just turning off the TV and getting really scared. It's so cute.
I used to hide from a bear in a kids show because he would sniff the TV screen, and I got so scared I had to hide from it. I liked the rest of the show, but I had to hide from that one thing.
There's a story I always tell everyone I meet at some point. It's one of my stories I always tell of something I used to get scared of when I was a kid. I'll tell you guys because it's very, very relevant to this. But you won't know what the hell I am going on about because this is about a British, very British kids TV show, and you guys ain't even gonna have the slightest clue what I'm on about. But basically, there was I'm gonna tell you anyway. But there was. Have you guys ever heard of Tellitubbies?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do they show it over there? I don't know.
Yes.
Yes,
In
they
fact,
did.
we had a whole, like, one of them is gay moment here in America.
One of them is gay.
No, it was just a stupid conspiracy thing. Go on with your story. It's supposed to be scary, not political, controversial.
Poor
Yeah,
gay.
there was this character in it. Like, it was a lion, and it was made of cardboard. And when I watched that show when I was 4 years old or something, and I saw that lion, it was always accompanied with this like dun 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 music, and it was like I had a nightmare about it, like a recurring nightmare or something that I have never forgotten, where that lion, that cardboard lion, would roll into my house and chase me into the kitchen. I would curl up into a ball and I would cry, and then I'd wake up.
Wow. No, we can probably. It's funny because we can probably do an entire segment just on like shows from our childhood that like the creators meant to be like entertaining for kids, but like absolutely terrified you. And like I don't know, like since I'm older than you guys, like I grew up with Sesame Street, and the aliens that like made like the yip yip sounds terrified the heck out of me when I was a kid. So
All I have to say is PBG. Peanut Butter Gamer has the same exact fear.
Noon, what do you got for us? What's your scariest moment in the game?
This is hard because I think I'm like with Deadly in that scary moments like don't scare me as opposed to like things that are disturbing. Like those things scare the hell out of me. So like 2 moments in like Pikmin 2, I think. There's this level that's like in a cave and you have to walk around with all your Pikmin, and there's this like huge thing that comes down with the roller pin and just chases you all around, and like here you are with all your Pikmin and this thing that's gonna like squish them alive if you don't like do something, and that used to scare me to death. Holy cow, like I used to shake playing that stupid level. It was so bad.
All I can think is the one video where Chugga Conroy goes absolutely insane over that thing in his LP.
Wow, so like that means like officially I'm the only person here that actually has a scariest moment that's actually from a scary game.
Yeah, funny that.
Because like for me, I think my scariest moment would be from Resident Evil 2, when in the room and the dogs jumped through the window. That I still remember. I mean, at the time, because I think when Resident Evil 1 came out, I was still in like elementary school. So when Resident Evil 2 came out, I didn't even have a PlayStation 1 at the time. My dad's friend brought over his PlayStation 1 and let me play Resident Evil 2, and I was playing. It was like 10, 11 o'clock at night. It was dark, and it gets to that point like you're searching through the drawers for the chess piece, and it's just so eerie, and all of a sudden the dog just jumps through the glass and shatters, and I never threw a controller so far in my entire life, and I'm pretty sure it took the PlayStation 1 with it, so that would be my scariest moment.
Oh man, are any of you guys like into scary games other than Tricky?
Not really.
Not particularly, but I don't know, because like in general, horror media hasn't really done much for me.
Oh, I forget that Tricky was like playing games at a time where they were good. Tricky, you're so old.
I felt like games were good when I was a kid.
okay, I'm not gonna dispute that. Like, the horror genre is just kind of like not been as good since its earlier days.
I don't know. I mean, I think if you look at scary games now, or games that are supposed to be scary, I think it's a different type of scary. But at the same time, if you look at like back in like the 8-bit and like 16-bit era, I think scary games weren't really conceptually realized until 32-bit gaming came out and we had 3D graphics. Because I mean, I don't know. I mean, even playing like games like Splatterhouse and like like Friday the 13th on like NES and stuff like that back in the day, it wasn't overly scary. I mean, especially like they really had to rely on the music and the atmospheric sounds to actually make it scary. But I don't think it was until probably the PlayStation and Saturn era that games were actually able to be realized as scary. I mean, earlier than that, PC games were able to do that, but I don't know, not on consoles, anyways.
Yeah, but there are a few rare exceptions, like Lavender Town, for instance.
I have no idea what that is.
Pokemon, man. We did the Pokemon special 2 weeks ago.
Dude, I told you, I was 14 Pokemon came out. I explained this last time, so I really haven't played a whole lot of Pokemon at all. Like, I played like 2 Pokemon games, and the second one I've ever played was actually like Pokemon White. So don't give me that.
Alright,
Well,
alright.
how can I forget about
Fair enough.
And I think in Lavender Town, like, oh my god, that music used to scare me to death. Oh my, that's such a scary town. Oh my, is that where you like fight your rival and then you realize that like one of his Pokemon that was there before isn't there anymore?
Yeah. His Raticate, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh man, that's a good one.
Yeah,
And it's like doesn't he make some mention that he's there to bury a Pokemon or something? He makes some kind of hint at it.
Oh man.
Yeah, I don't know what you guys are talking about, but I will, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt that moment was scary. So, I mean, I guess, yeah, older games, not in 3D, I guess, like I said, I guess depending on, like, the theme and the atmosphere, it could be scary. I mean, I don't know, like, I think the earliest scary moment for me I can remember would possibly be playing Super Mario World on Super NES and having to run away from Boo in his mansion was probably the earliest scary moment for me.
Oh my god, Boo.
That's not funny. Every time you turn around, those things would chase you to hell. Oh my god.
King Boo was the only, like, remotely threatening Boo.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, like, I figure though, like when Super NES came out, though, I mean, I was younger there. I mean, so I mean, I don't know. Like, whenever I go into those mansions and they had like the music playing and like, yeah, like you'd have like Boo's up the butt following after you and chasing after you. And like when I was younger, it's funny because I used to play with my dad, play Nintendo, and my dad's one of those people where like he would move the couch super close to like our massive, like 28-inch like console, but since it was a console TV with like the wood surrounding it, it was actually way bigger than 28 inches. And he would pull the couch right up to it, and he's one of those people that whenever he would jump, he would like flick his remote up in the air and he would jump off the couch, so every time he'd jump with it. Like, he didn't quite grasp that you didn't have to do that. So like me and him would be playing like Super Mario World or even Super Mario Brothers, and Boo would be chasing, and like especially like on the couch I'd be crushed because my dad would be like, oh my god, trying to run away from Boo, and he'd be like all on top of me, like crushing me, and I'm like, no, it's not real.
No, that's so cute. Well, I mean, speaking of scariest, scary enemies anyway, what's your scariest boss or scariest enemy you've ever had to face in a game?
Well, mine is kind of a weird one, and it's from Fire Emblem, The Sacred Stones. It's the final boss of the game, so this might be a little bit spoiler, but I'm gonna butcher this name. He's called Fomortis, and he is the Demon King. And when I first faced him, the screen is just completely dark, and then he just pops up out of nowhere, and you start fighting him with your units and all that. But his sprite and everything is just so freaky looking. It's very strange, and I like it. And in fact, he is known as the Demon King in the game. And you never get to kill him, actually. You just weaken him enough for you to seal him in the sacred stones. So that is a very scary boss.
Isn't that that's like a common theme? Like, especially with like a lot of older games, is like when you're fighting bosses, like most bosses are never like actually, like a lot of them aren't killable. You just have to like seal them away or like trap them in another dimension or something like that. Which, you know, I guess is an easy way for developers to like roll into a sequel.
Right. But that also fit in with the lore very well, and I really liked how scary looking the boss is. In fact, I just looked at it today to make sure that it wasn't me looking through nostalgia glasses. But it still looks kind of creepy and has the craziest name ever.
I don't think that would have scared me as a kid, simply because this is going to make me sound like some kind of Satanist child or something, but like, I was really into like big demony looking like spiky things, like it looked like dragons or monsters of some kind when I was a kid. So I just would have thought it looked cool, I think.
Well, it does look cool, but it also kind of creeps me out a little bit. Like it's like one of those kind of subtle things that, as a kid, it especially scared me. And I like dragons and all that, but I was kind of scared by it, especially with the presentation that they used with it. Every time you fought him, he would just like let out this roar that was pretty intimidating, and it was kind of cool as the final battle, and the atmosphere was very dark and desolate, and there was also a feeling of no hope from the game. So I really liked. Now I like the atmosphere. Back then I hated the boss because it was kind of scary.
I think the best is when they try to make the enemies like seem more inhuman. Like, if they don't talk to you, it's a lot easier to view them as like scary, I think.
Well, again, this is kind of a spoiler if you haven't played the game, but this thing has been stuck inside your best friend for a little while now, and you've been fighting him throughout the games, and he's attacked you, and he says all this creepy stuff to you, and when you finally kill your best friend, it sets the Demon King loose in his final form, which was the scary form. And well, first of all, you just killed your best friend and got this weird demon coming out of him, and it was kind of scary. But anyway, that's just my scariest enemy. How about you guys?
For me, I think it's either redeads for obvious reasons, because they because they grab you and everything. I think like it just brings up like, you wouldn't want to get caught in a situation like that, obviously, in real life. It was just like, it's a lot better than just generic zombies, I think. And also, this is the hardest name to pronounce ever, but is Cephosaurs from the Half-Life series, which are like these giant shark things with massive jaws, like, and they're only underwater. So you drop down into like an underwater bit, and one of those things would come like swimming straight at you. And you would see it like open its jaw to like clamp you in it, and you have to like rush out, and it damn near makes you crap your pants.
I would actually say that about most, I think, of the enemies in the Half-Life series. I mean, I remember the first time I played Half-Life when it came out, and I mean, like, the first head crab that jumped at me, I was like, ah! Like, I spent a lot of Half-Life, like, on the edge of my seat, because most of, like, the twisted stuff in that freaks the hell out of you.
I think underwater enemies in general are a bit scarier, just because, like, you move slower, of course, and it's like you just feel kind of like more on edge underwater, I guess, because you're not in your natural environment.
I can see that you gotta contend with the possibility of drowning.
Or eels coming out of nowhere, killing you. Super Mario 64.
Yeah, or, tentacle rape, whatever.
Whoa.
That's a very strange thought to think of in relation to Super Mario 64.
Yay, Super Mario 64! Tricky.
You said redeads. I always just think they were so cute because they came to hug you. I never thought they were scary.
I don't think they're coming to hug you. I think they're coming to rape you and eat your brains, because that kind of is what it looks like they're doing.
It's a very innocent way to look at it. I guess if you're very young when you played Zelda, you would have the idea that it may not be as menacing as it really is.
Well, actually, my scariest boss comes from Ocarina. There's that... I forget the name of him, but you walk into the room and all you see are hands just coming out of the floor.
Oh my god.
And then you walk...
Bongo, I think that's his name.
That just makes me think of another scary thing, which is the bit in Majora's Mask where the guy's hand comes out of the toilet.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
He's asking you for toilet paper or something, isn't he? He's just clawing his hand out of this medieval style outhouse.
Yeah, they also made a reference to that in Skyward, I think. But that hand grabbing your face and just keeping you there while the boss is creeping behind you. Oh man, that scene's scary. That was scary.
Again, I'm gonna go with a horror movie bad guy, or a horror actual scary game bad guy, and say that Pyramid Head from Silent Hill is probably my most terrifying baddie.
I've never played a Silent Hill game because I'm scared to death of horror games, but when I was an active member on DeviantArt, all I ever saw was really sexy fan art of Pyramid Head, so it's hard for me to imagine it.
I swear to God.
That's so creepy. It's funny though, but I mean, being that I'm older, I mean, when I played Silent Hill when it came out, and same thing with 2 and 3, and I really haven't played anything beyond that since they all kind of sucked. But when I first saw Pyramid Head, that was ridiculous. I don't know, and he even, I mean, just looking at him was pretty terrifying, and trying to get away from him was pretty terrifying as well. And in general, that was pretty creepy, which I guess is a great segue into what we were going to talk about next, which is what's the scariest game that you've played. And then I can segue say that Silent Hill is by far, the original Silent Hill is by far the scariest game I've ever played in my entire life. Me and my cousin went out and we pooled our money together and bought it, and we sat in my room from an entire day and night playing that game. And I have lots of memories because we kept switching off, and the atmosphere to that game, especially the original one, is just, it's hard to describe. And if you've never played it before, even if you're not into scary games, I think you should play the original Silent Hill, just because it is really freaky, and I don't think any game has ever nailed atmosphere so well in the gaming world ever since that game. And again, with Pyramid Head being the creepiest monster and everything, and I think another reason why it holds fond memories for me is you know how they always say don't pull out the memory card while you're saving? Well, my little sister pulled out the memory card while we were saving right at the end of the game when we were in the alternate mall, and it wiped our whole game, and we had to go back and start from scratch.
Oh, that sucks.
I am so sorry. I feel your pain. Oh no.
I figured I wasn't alone in that. I figured a lot of people had that experience.
I never had it. I don't have any siblings, so I never had to deal with the whole, oh, he deleted my save game for no reason.
Well, you could just shut up.
See,
I'm sorry.
I was the younger sibling, so I'm probably the one that was doing that at the time when I was younger and all. But I did have an experience with my younger cousin who would do that quite frequently. Whenever he came over, he just loved deleting my save games. So that was a fun time.
I think I got with my younger brother because he's a pretty big gamer himself, so I think we have an understanding with each other. Don't touch my save file or else we'll kill you kind of thing.
That's cool. At least you guys got understanding on that. I mean, my sister, like my sister's 5 years younger than me, and she's like a casual, like she has a lot of the Zelda games, like she likes playing Zelda and like certain like Nintendo games, but she's not a huge gamer. But I figured at the time, like she was younger, because I'm trying to remember when Silent Hill came out. I mean, I was a teenager. I want to say I was probably like maybe 14, 15 when that game came out, so she was only like 9 or 10. So I mean, she was like, you know, my sister's one of those people, like one of the people though, where like she like plays like the saint, and then you know she causes trouble, and I'm the one that gets blamed for it. So I mean, of course, when that happened, I mean, if it wasn't for my cousin being there to back me up, like she wouldn't have got yelled at. But like, you know, my parents understood, so she got grounded, which was cool and all. But yeah, that was pretty horrible, and that game is just freaky and amazing, and I highly recommend you guys, anybody should play that game. Like, even for those who don't like going back and playing older games because they don't look as pretty, but you know, whatever, go back and try it because it's scary. So definitely should. So I mean, I don't know. I know you guys aren't huge like scary game fans, but have you played any scary games, or what is the scariest game you've ever played?
I mean, like I said, I'm not into scary games, and like to me, the scariest things is when like you have to like when the game is disturbing. And there's this one game. It's for the computer, and it's a free game actually. Anybody can go download it. It's perfectly legal. It's called Dream Diary, and it's this 8-bit game that was made for the PC by some guy in Japan by himself. And that game, you get this disgusting feeling in the bottom of your stomach, and then when that end happens, like, well, whatever, I won't even get to that. But the point of the game is there's this little girl trapped inside a room, and she only has two options. She could go on the balcony, or she can go to sleep and enter her dream world. And in these dream worlds, you enter all sorts of freaky little things where you get turned into all these freaky little creatures, and it's a depressing, eerie, mind-screwing kind of game. And since it's free, I definitely recommend it for anyone. I have mentioned to other people though that if you're suffering from like chronic depression issues, I would stay away from that game, because it's honestly one of those kind of games that kind of get into your head and like mess around with you. It's a really creepy game, and it's called Dream Diary.
See, it's fine for you guys, but it's midnight here, and I'm gonna have to think about this stuff as I'm going to bed.
Come on, be a man.
Thinking about the horrifying dream worlds where you get turned into creatures and whatever.
You know the scary thing about that is that you have to turn into the creatures in order to solve these little dream worlds. Oh, it's creepy, man. That game is creepy.
What kind of creatures, though?
I can't even describe them to you. Some of the things are like walking traffic lights. That's not so bad. But then some of them are like in-game creatures. So I wouldn't be able to like describe to you what they are, like a blob with an eye on them or something like that. It's just weird.
Alright,
I think that the scariest game ever might be, and the scariest game for me as well, it's this obscure 90s MMO type game for the PC. And no, it's got the smallest community, but it's all people who have been playing it for like damn near 20 years now. Like, and they take on these personas of these. You can find videos of this on YouTube. It's called Worlds or something. And it's got these like blocky PS1 polygon graphics that have not been updated in 20 years. And it's the scariest thing. Like, just a bunch of people went on there, and it's just people started PMing them like all these creepy messages, like there's all these different, like, it's like Second Life or something, but the eeriest version of it you can even imagine. You don't have to deal with furries or anything. You have to deal with these creepy 40-year-olds, like, act like they're gonna murder you in your sleep one night.
So, like, the game itself isn't scary, but the community is scary, is what you're trying to say.
Yeah, but combined with the game. I totally need to find a video of this for you guys.
Creepy game with pedophile community. That sounds horrific.
It sounds like a money-making machine to me.
Sounds like something Blake would play.
With this stupid Slenderman rampage.
That's my shout out for the day.
Well,
what's the name of the game again?
I think it's called Worlds. But I'm trying to get a hold of this. I cannot find it. It's very obscure. If
Indeed.
not that, it's a similar thing. If not that, the scariest thing is definitely a similar thing. LSD for the PS1, which is Japanese only release. And it's very similar, like blocky polygon graphics and just creepy, like, hallucinating dream worlds. It's just like, ugh.
well, it's called LSD, so I hope it's something creepy.
Yeah, the name implies a lot.
Yes. Alright, well,
Oh man.
I guess I know I said earlier that I'm not really a big creepy game fan, but I think the scariest game I've played through was Left 4 Dead 2. And I only played it...
What?
I played through it once. It was...
like a stern sound in his voice. What?
I played it at a friend's house. We were doing pretty much a marathon of games. We were playing games for 12 hours straight. And at one point, we decided, hey, let's play Left 4 Dead. And it was at midnight when we decided to do this. And we were tired. We beat the game, but we were so tired by the end of it and so freaked out, and I'm pretty sure we all fell asleep and had nightmares that day. But
wow.
It was 6 hours of torturous zombies coming at you with your best friend sitting next to you screaming at the top of his lungs because he hasn't gotten any sleep at all, and you're hyped up on energy drinks, and it's just amazing and scary at the same exact time. That was probably one of the best nights I've ever had with like a whole bunch of friends.
I've had lots of
2.
fun times playing Left 4 Dead 2, but I mean, Left 4 Dead's not really scary to me. I mean, I think it's because I have so many zombie films, and like I'm just surrounded by zombies so often, like in media and everything, that I'm kind of like immune to it. But like, I think the only part of Left 4 Dead 1 or 2 that ever really terrified me is like, you know, playing in the dark with like friends, co-op and stuff, and you just hear the witch, and you hear her start like sobbing in the background. You're just like, son of a, okay, where is she? And then you try to, then you just kind of tippy toe from that point on, trying not to like startle her. That's probably like the slowly like scary parts for me.
Yeah, I completely agree. I know that the game would be really easy to go through, and it's not scary really at all, but when you're in this energy drink fueled rage with no sleep whatsoever, you become scared and think the littlest thing is funny and the littlest thing is scary. So that's my feelings on that.
Are you sure this was energy drinks and not something completely different?
Well, I was I was at a friend's house, so I don't know what exactly they were, but you know, whatever.
Maybe you put something in the drinks, man.
Now I'm concerned. I think I'm gonna confront him on this.
I don't know. It's just I've played Left 4 Dead, the Left 4 Dead series, so many times. I've never found anything scary in it. It's just like, because I always play it with friends, and it's just like that atmosphere just gets completely destroyed when you're having like banter over the game and everything.
Well, when you have a whole bunch of people next to you who are obviously sleep deprived, screaming, "Oh God! Oh God! Oh God! Oh God! Oh God!" at the top of their lungs, you start to join them, and then when the witch screams at you and it's really loud, and you realize it's because it's all your friends next to you doing the same exact thing, you kind of get scared of it. And obviously this is due to just a one night playthrough, but I thought it was scary at the time, and I don't play scary games, so that kind of makes it okay, I guess.
Yeah, I swear I thought you were gonna say Okami for your favorite scary game.
You should just say Okami for everything. Any game, anytime he has to list a game, just say Okami.
You guys should just get rid of me on the podcast and replace like a little button, a little sound file of me just saying Okami that you can press every once in a while. And then you would have me on the podcast without me on the podcast.
And it's cool. I think too. It's like, it's funny because I mean everybody has something different that scares them, and yeah, I mean if you're not one that really is into like scary things, like I can understand that. And it's funny because I mean I have a really extensive horror movie collection, and now Sushi she can't stand horror movies at all, and sometimes I like get on her case because like something that like I don't think remotely close to scary at all, like, and she's terrified by, and I'll like heckle her and like tease her about it, but at the same time like she doesn't watch horror movies, she hates them. So for different people it's different, so you know stuff that doesn't really affect me may phase other people, so you know it's cool, it happens, man.
Thank you. I'm glad someone here loves me.
How sad.
Yeah.
Oh.
Do you guys have anything else to add to the scary moments in games or scary games or anything?
No, but well, when Deadly mentioned Majora's Mask, my mind went like straight to creepypasta. Do you guys know any
Oh my God.
scary video game pasta?
I read so much creepypasta, and pasta, I don't know. I pronounce it pasta normally. But I read so much of it, and always at the worst times. It's always like I always get the urge at like midnight, and it's just I don't want to read it before I go to bed when it's dark out. It destroys my mind.
Nice.
Do you know any good ones?
I think I listed a few when we had a thread on this a while ago. But there's a whole wiki of them, and I'll post a link of that somewhere.
So now, those of you who don't know, there is a new game that just came out, Virtual's Last Reward, and I know out of all of us here, Nuna's the only one that picked it up, and I know she wanted to talk about it, and also about the original game before that, which would be 999, which would be part of our Sleeper Hits corner. So Nuna, if you want to talk about that and tell us a little bit about it, because I know I haven't played it, and I'm sure a lot of other people probably haven't either.
Yeah, it fits the Halloween theme too. It's kind of cool. But 999. That's the game is now titled Zero Escape. 9 hours, 9 people's 9 doors. By the way, so if you want to look up the game, look up that title. So when I first picked up 999, I couldn't put the game down. Like my mind raced and was contemplating and thinking every bit of information the game was given to me. And I stood up, like, oh my gosh, like 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning, just like obsessed with this game the first time I played it. So to explain, the game is a cross between a text adventure and a visual novel, which are both really rare titles for Western release. So that was a pretty big thing at the time. And this game supports an M rating, and I have to make that clear. It's rated M for mature, and it's very justified, that rating. So beware. It's hard to describe like what exactly you're gonna get with this game. It's such a creepy game. So the game opens up with an average college boy named Junpei, and he's kind of like dazed and confused with a hazy memory. in a room he's never seen before, and when he comes to his senses, he realizes that he's been kidnapped and placed on a ship, like, out in the middle of nowhere. He later, like, encounters 8 other victims, and they all find out that they have to participate in a game called the Nonary game. And in this game, you fight for your life, and you have to work together to solve a bunch of puzzles, and you have to follow the rules that you've been given. And if you don't, you suffer from dire consequences. And they have to complete this game in 9 hours, or the ship will completely sink. So that's the premise of the game. So the way the game plays out, obviously, is you, like, enter these different areas and you have to solve a puzzle, and then after each puzzle you get, like, the story part. So the game is very heavily story based. So if you do not like reading in video games, avoid this game. If you don't like Professor Layton or Ace Attorney, avoid this game. This game is very much along those lines. So, graphic-wise, the game is 2D, looks 2D. There's a lot of sprites, a lot of flat images. The images are very beautiful and detailed in comparison to what you're reading, and but there isn't much, I guess, to kind of grasp at. There aren't bad graphics, to say the least. They are really nice looking for what they do have. But it's a visual novel game, and if you've played a visual novel game, that's kind of what you should expect. Just flat image backgrounds and a 2D moving sprite over it. The gameplay is interesting, to say the least. For a puzzle game, it's kind of I wasn't too enthralled with the puzzles. But the story part of it, the novel part of it, and the decisions you have to make adds so much pressure on you as a player, and you get so into the moment, and you get so, like, into this gameplayed world they're, like, giving to you. It's kind of half and half. I don't like the puzzles, and I was turned off by them, but I did like every other aspect of the game. The best part of this game comes from the story and characters, and it's probably the point of the game that is probably, like, the reason why it's gotten so many high ratings for people. The characters are incredibly memorable. They play tons of little, like, mind tricks on you with the writing, and then the story, like, it's such a mind twister. There you go. I was trying not to curse there. And so it's hard to talk about the story without giving too much away. But a couple of things I can say about the story is that there's a lot of text. I mentioned that earlier. Unfortunately, this text suffers from a lot of grammatical errors, and like, words are just completely wrong sometimes. Like, there's just a completely different word. It wasn't distracting to me, as I was able to completely read past them fine. But for anybody who has, like, an eagle eye, you may notice these things, and they may bug you a bit. The strong points of the game is... Oh, I forgot to mention music. That's a strong point. By the way, the music for this game completes the atmosphere. This game would not be complete without its music. One of the tracks on there is actually probably one of my my favorite scary tracks. It's really chilling, and it adds so much depth to the story, and it adds it adds that layer of emotion that you need to feel as you're playing the game. So the strong point is definitely the story and characters and the music. The weak points would be the puzzles and the grammatical errors you often find when reading through the novel. I feel like I haven't said many good things about this game. It's definitely one of those games that it's hard for me to exactly describe to you what you feel or during the gameplay. It's one of those you have to play it to understand what I'm feeling towards this game. It's mind-bending, it's played beautifully, and the story, despite its grammatical erring, is a really, really, really great read. And for that reason, I definitely recommend it. It's, out of our little ratings chart, it's an awesome, if not more than an awesome, and I would definitely recommend anybody picking it up. And it's only $20 right now, if I'm not mistaken, so now would be a perfect time to pick it up. And it's available on the Nintendo DS, and it's been released by Axis.
let me.
I definitely want to pick that up, and I'm actually glad you did a.
You are gonna make me
on that because it's gonna be sweet.
You're gonna make me pick this up like right after this podcast, I swear, because I've heard so much about this series.
Yeah, like I can't even explain to you how good this game is. Like I said, I do have to mention, if you don't like violence and all that stuff, or if you get bothered by certain things, I wouldn't recommend this game. But oh my gosh, it's such a good game. I was obsessed with this. Me and like Tsuchinoko from the Wii U forums, I know him. He's my close friend in real life. We were talking about this game for months up until Virtue's Last Reward came out. Like, we could not stop talking about this game. It's so good.
Let me tell if you're listening, you probably have no idea what the review score is. She said it was an awesome, which is our highest rating that you can give a game. The ratings go awful, poor, okay, good, great, and awesome. And basically, we try to get away from a number review because people get too hung up on numbers. Awesome does not mean the game is perfect, obviously. It just means that we thought it was awesome. So, that's the story behind the review scale.
Thank you, Soul, for that. A lot of people probably were confused where that fell. And thanks, Noon, for picking that as a super hit review, because I did want to play Virtue's Last Reward, and I did want to start with 999, and just based on what you said here and what other people have said, I definitely plan on picking this game up soon.
Speaking of Virtue's Last Reward, that's our review time, and Noonabytes gets to take it away. Again.
Virtue's Last Reward. I think Tricky can, like, attest to this when I say that, like, since I picked it up, I don't think I've slept very well at all. I've probably had like 2 hours of sleep each day because every free minute I get, I've been playing this game. It's disgustingly horrible for my health.
It's true. Every time I turn my 3DS on, it always says Noonabytes playing Virtue's Last Reward. Every time.
Yeah. That being said, though, this review is not going to be so deep because of an issue I encountered, and I will explain that later on before I get there. So to explain the premise of the game, sorry about that, 1 second. Okay, so the main character is a college kid, again, named Sigma, and he's kidnapped and he awakens in an elevator with a strange girl named Phi, who seems to know him. You awaken to this character on a small screen in the elevator named Zero the Third, and he's a talking rabbit, and he tells you that you have to work with this girl named Phi to escape the elevator. And when you do escape the elevator, you enter into this weird warehouse where you see 7 other people. However, they find themselves in yet again a nonary game, Ambidex edition. And in this version of the nonary game, not only do you have to work with other people to escape a room, much like in 999, but there's a twist. The Ambidex edition, what it means is you go against the person you enter the room with, and you pretty much vote on their fate. You either have to ally with them or betray them. And based on what you vote for, you get a certain amount of points. And when your points reach 9, you get to escape. When your points reach below 0, you die. So this is very much like the nonary game, except it relies less on working together and more on like trying not to or backstabbing people. And that's how the game introduces itself, and that's pretty much the premise. The graphics in the game, I love them and hate them all at the same time.
I just want to make this clear really quick that this game is on the Vita and 3DS, so this is the 3DS version that Nuda is describing.
I've been looking this up. I don't think either of these games had a European release. Which is fine for the first one on the DS, but I won't be able to get this for the 3DS. I'll have to get the Vita version, I think.
Is Nuna even there?
I think there's internet problems.
Yeah.
Sorry, can you guys...
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hello.
Cut that bit out, obviously.
Yeah.
But to continue on with the graphics, like I said, I have a love-hate relationship with them. In certain parts of the game, I think that this may be the best-looking game on the 3DS. And then there are scenes where I feel like it's so cheap and lazy. So I'm a bit torn between the two. Unlike 999, this game uses pseudo 3D models for a lot of the scenes. But much like 999, these 3D models are placed in front of a 2D background. So it's kind of like 999 if you've ever played it before, except with the 3D model overlay. And much like 999, cutscenes aren't really moving as opposed to just screenshots, which is where I felt like they got really lazy with the game. Aside from that, the game is very pretty looking when it decides to be. Music so far in the game has been even better than 999, and that soundtrack was already really hard for me to top. So a huge shout out for Shinji, I forgot the rest of his name, but amazing soundtrack, and I've loved every room I've been in so far.
Was just really quick, was sorry to interrupt you, but just really quick, was the is the like the soundtracks all done by the same guy as did the first one? Do you know? Like, is it similar? Okay. And
yeah.
Okay, that's all I had.
Yeah, some of the songs are even like remixed versions of those from 999, and some of them are completely new. So you get the familiar vibe from its predecessor. Gameplay wise, and this is where all my troubles started. The game played really well. Much like the Code of Princess issue I had, though, it had slight lag, but not to the point where it was distracting. But then I got into certain parts of the game, or rather certain rooms, and in certain rooms, you completely freeze. And then there's this one room where if you save inside the room, it breaks your game file. You cannot load up your game, and you have to start again. This has been told to me by Axis after I emailed them about my problem. So this is a huge issue with the 3DS, and I've actually heard similar stories for the Vita version as well. I haven't heard any game-breaking issues for the Vita version, but I have heard a lot of the freezing issues. That being said, I want to continue this review, but I can't because my save file broke, and I was not able to get any further. I actually just recently replayed up until the point I was before my save file broke. So because this game is heavily story-based, from what I played so far, the story is going so much better than it was in 999, but because I don't have a conclusion, I can't tell you if it is, or if it like breaks on itself and ruins somewhere. And that's a bit unfortunate. So this is kind of where my review ends.
Do you know?
Also, there's. Sorry, go on.
Do you know if they're planning on fixing any of the problems?
From what I've heard, or rather what they told me, they're aware of the problem, but they did not tell me if they're working on a fix for the issue. What they did tell me is that anybody playing the game should avoid saving in any of the puzzle rooms at all. Save in cutscenes only, because that seems to be a huge issue with the game right now.
Okay. That's all I had. Thank you.
Yeah. Much like 999, there is a lot of reading in this game, so obviously if you didn't like 999 or if you don't like reading, don't get this game. The difference in this game is that there is a voice cast now that kind of reads to you what you read. And the voice cast is brilliant. I was blown away by how good the voice acting is in this game. For both Japanese and English audio, because both is available for you on the game. and I have almost no qualms. There is one voice actress in particular who I did not like at all, but other than that one voice actress, like, the voice acting is incredible, and I'm actually happy that they included it in the game, because it doesn't take away from it. It actually adds a lot of what you read and a lot of the power that the story is supposed to hit you with. If the great voice acting continues throughout the rest of the game, like I said again, I can't tell you because of the save corruption. So if I finish this game, I'm pretty sure I would think it's better than 999. Right now I'm loving it so much more than I did with 999. Like, I'm so much more invested in it, and that says a lot because I was obsessed with 999. But yeah, that's all I have on it, unfortunately. The game is for the 3DS and PlayStation Vita, like it was said before, and it is rated M for mature. And I have to point this out. This game is standalone, and it was created to be standalone, so you don't have to play 999. I heavily recommend you do, though. I do think it should be required you play 999, although it's technically not. And that's all I have. Can't give it an official rating, unfortunately.
Awesome. Thanks for the review in progress for us, because I definitely want to play this, and I do want to play 999. And I just really wanted to plug really quick, like, there's a lot of really good, like, scary horror, like, games out there and everything, and I think there's a lot of them that can get easily, like, shoved under the rug and missed out on. And just really quick, kind of like a sleeper hit, which at the time it wasn't a hit at all, and a lot of people probably wouldn't call it like a hit at all or a sleeper hit, but back on the Dreamcast, I believe it was a launch game, because I had it shortly after launch. There's a game called Blue Stinger, and I remember this game as actually atrociously wonderful. Like, graphically it was pretty blocky, and it really fed off of the Resident Evil style gameplay, but it's hard to describe. Like, it's almost like, it's like a movie you see that's so bad, but you can't help but own it and watch it. And it's very similar to that. Like, the story is pretty horrible. Graphically, I guess it's not the best that it was on Dreamcast, but playing through the game was really enjoyable. And I actually highly recommend anybody who owns a Dreamcast. You could probably pick Blue Stinger up for fairly cheap. You should be able to get it for under $10, and I highly recommend giving it a try, because I think you might also find it atrociously wonderful.
I want to play that game so bad. Since I got my Dreamcast, that's one of the games that's been on my list, and I certainly need to get around to picking up, I think.
Yeah, I think you'll like it. It's one of those things where it's like, for me, like, when we talk about atmosphere and how atmosphere makes scary games and how that really makes everything, like, terrifying, but it's just like, you're on, if I remember correctly, you're on, like, a cruise liner on a ship. Like, basically you're on, like, a raft and you're lost at sea, and you end up, like, you picked up, like, on a cruise liner or, like, a big ship or whatever, and on this ship there's, like, a small shopping area, and then there's, like, you can go and get stuff out of, like, vending machines, but it's like, it's hard to be scared when there's, like, Christmas music playing in the background. Like, you'll be in a section, it'll be like this happy, like, jingles and Christmas music, and then there's, like, zombies, and it's so bad, but I love this game. And unfortunately I actually don't have it in my Dreamcast collection right now, because when I was younger I ended up selling my Dreamcast after it died off to get something else, but I have to get it back. But again, it's just wonderfully atrocious, and I highly advise anyone to pick up this game for Dreamcast and just give it a go.
It sounds like exactly my kind of game, with that kind of terribly funny, kind of terribly good, if you know what I mean. It's
absolutely,
like, it's such a cliche, so bad that it's good and all that, but it's true with some things, and I might consider doing a review of this if I end up playing it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, actually, since we're on the topic of sleeper hits, I mentioned earlier that 999 and Virtue's Last Reward are two titles that the Western Hemisphere was very lucky to receive, because these are the kind of games that we don't see very often. And if I'm not mistaken, Soulburst has been working really, really, really hard to get a title on the eastern side to the west. So do you want to talk about that for a bit? Maybe plug yourself in again?
Yeah, I talked about this last episode, but I really want to thank everyone who supported it, because we are at 1,150 likes on Facebook right now, I think. And that is just amazing. I want to thank everyone who's done this, especially Mignaga, who's been helping me on just doing a lot of editing for various articles I was planning on posting, but it's been awesome. And anyway, Bravely Default Flying Fairy is the game I am campaigning for to come to the West, and a lot of people were kind of negative towards it because they were like, oh, it's just another Operation Rainfall, it's not going to do anything, it's just going to be a whole bunch of angry stuff going on. And I completely disagree, but this started because the developer and the mastermind behind the game said in an interview that if people in the West want this game, go on Facebook and go on Twitter and spam the crap out of us. So that's my solution, was to make a group, and we have teamed up with Operation Rainfall. If you look up Bravely Default Flying Fairy on YouTube, you'll see a channel called Nintendo Domination, and we have teamed up. I feature their videos, they feature me in their videos, and it's been pretty gosh darn awesome. And the name is kind of weird, but if you don't... Bravely Default, Brave is a type of and Bravely Default is the battle system it's run on, and the Brave, if you use Brave, then that means you use up this points called BP, which makes it so you can use multiple moves per turn. But if you choose Default, you only choose one move that turn, and you save up a BP. So it's like this really strategy style of gaining more and more BP to be able to use it all at once to like lay down the smackdown against a really hard boss. And it seems like a really good element. So if you want to like us on Facebook or want to learn more about that, follow us on Twitter. I'm sure our editors will gladly post a link in the description and everything like that. So thank you for your support, and let's try and get this over here, please.
Yeah, and just to add in there, for those people who were all like, oh, just another Operation Rainfall and blah 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 blah, it's like, in case they didn't notice, both Last Story and Xenoblade Chronicles were released over here, so...
Pandora's Tower wasn't, though. I mean, it doesn't affect me too much, because this is one of the few times Nintendo actually respected Europe and gave us all 3 games before America.
Yeah,
and one of them didn't even come out there.
But I haven't played it yet.
Yeah, well, the one thing I have to say about that is they say it didn't affect them very much, but Nintendo hasn't commented about that at all, I don't think. And Xseed said that didn't affect them very much either, but you can't tell me that they didn't see that this operation about these 2 games was getting 10,000 or 100,000 people behind it and going crazy about it, and didn't say, I think there might be some money over here, and think that they could tap into it. So I think that and also it raised awareness. I would have never got Xenoblade Chronicles unless I heard about Operation Rainfall.
Going back to Virtue's Last Reward, part of the reason why we even got the sequel was because a lot of people raised awareness with 999 via Twitter, via Facebook, and via Tumblr, after the creator said that if you don't make noise, like, nobody's going to listen. So I definitely disagree with those people, because they do listen, you know.
Sometimes.
Absolutely.
The only thing is it's Square Enix, so... But let's...
And on that note, I just wanted to, really quick, we have, since most of us, anyways, are into anime, and this is a Halloween theme, we wanted to discuss our top 10 scariest anime. So, yeah, why don't we go ahead and talk about that? And there you have it. You guys might not think that stuff is very scary, but we do. So yeah, we do. I guess we have a. What's next, you guys? We got a breakdown of upcoming titles. Someone wanted to rattle
since
that off.
the next podcast won't be until next month, we might as well tell you what's gonna come out next month anyway. Do you want me to read this up, guys, or anybody else want to take it? So,
Go for it.
On November 6th, we have Harvest Moon: A New Beginning for the 3DS. We also have Mass Effect Trilogy for the Xbox and PC. Apparently the PS3 one is coming out on a later date. We also have Halo 4 for the Xbox 360. We also have Little Big Planet Karting for the PS3 on November 11th. We have Paper Mario Sticker for the 3DS. On November 13th, we have Call of Duty Black Ops 2 for the PC, Xbox 360, PS3, and of course the Wii U version is coming out later. We also have Call of Duty Black Ops Declassified for the PS Vita. Lego Lord of the Rings will be available for all current platforms on November 13th as well. On November 18th, if you don't know that date, mark it down on your calendar. Damn it, you should. We have Epic Mickey 2, which will be available for the Xbox 360, PS3, PC, Wii, and Wii U. Epic Mickey Power of Illusion, which will be available on the 3DS. We also have Sonic All-Star Racing Transformed, which will be available on the 3DS, PS3, Vita, and Wii U, and Xbox 360. We also have Adventure Time, which will be available on November 20th for the DS and 3DS. Also coming out on November 20th will be Hitman Absolute for PC, PS3, Xbox 360, Persona 4 Golden for PlayStation Vita, PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale for PS3 and PS Vita, and finally we have the Resistance Saga Collection for the PlayStation 3. Do you guys have anything else to add?
I don't have anything to add, but I just wanted to make a comment on a couple of the titles really quick. Anyone else, really, actually, I'm pretty sure everybody is, but for those who haven't heard, the Wii U is getting the Mass Effect 3, and then EA turned around, and Xbox and PC and PS3 are getting the trilogy, and they really just completely left out the Wii U out of this. I don't know, I think that's kind of a ridiculous move.
I'm sure it'll be a DLC.
I just get the feeling EA is going to turn around, they're going to see Mass Effect 3 didn't sell all that long ago. Oh, I guess people don't want hardcore games on the Wii U then.
I really, really like your impression of EA. If it had a personality,
that's just what their CEO really literally sounds like.
So now everyone knows Electronic Arts sounds like a really jerky British dude.
That's just my voice for dumb people.
I also want to comment too. Now, I think a lot of people I've been talking to don't really know that Epic Mickey Power of Illusion for the 3DS is different than Epic Mickey 2. And I like to point out that everybody should check that out because, especially older gamers like myself, growing up, some of my favorite Sega games were Mickey Mouse and the Castle of Illusion and the World of Illusion, and Power of Illusion is actually a sequel, from World of Illusion, and Castle of Illusion rather, and it's gonna be that same style. It's the 2D platforming, same kind of art style. It actually shares all the same music as that, but also introduces some of the elements from Epic Mickey. So especially people who like retro old school platformers, this might be a good game to look into. But I want to share my distaste for the date because it is coming out on the 18th, which is the same day the Wii U is coming out. So even though I'm picking it up, I probably will not be touching it for quite
I would
a
like
while.
to point, like, this is actually one of the games I'm so excited for. I was such, like, a huge lover of Cast of Illusions when I was younger. But, the creator, or the guy who was directing this project, he, like, when you listen to his interviews, you can tell he poured his soul into this game. So the fact that they decided to line it up with the Wii U launch makes me so sad, and I hope, like, the game sells well because it looks like a really good game, and I'm more than excited for it. I mean, I get Epic Mickey similar
Absolutely.
date, kind of like the Call of Duty games, but it's just I don't understand why they would pair a 3DS game with the Wii U launch at all, but it's whatever.
I think it's just to coincide with Epic Mickey 2 itself, which just happens to be on the 18th. Which reminds me, like, at the start of the year they said Epic Mickey 2 wasn't coming to the Wii U at all, and now apparently it is. They went back on their word a bit there, but I guess it's in a good way.
They probably just want to like cover up and have it be a surprise later. But yeah, I mean, if anybody, even if you don't have like a Sega Genesis, to play like Castle World Illusion, I don't even remember if there were. I think there were versions on the Super Nintendo. I mean, but I don't know. I grew up as a Sega kid, so. But you can always get them on emulators, and I highly recommend it. It's just a really fun platformer, and I like Epic Mickey, the first game on the Wii. It was okay. I can't say I was, super excited about it. It's not one of my top favorite games, but it's not horrible. But this game, I already have a feeling that this is going to be one of my top, 3DS games, period. Just because of it. I mean, just for nostalgia purposes and how they're doing it, and they're doing it in line with the old games. And, I may be like a 28-year-old male, but I grew up with Disney, I love Disney, so I'm looking forward to it even more.
Let me just say real quick that we as a podcast don't support emulators in any way whatsoever. And also, secondly, the list we just listed off obviously does not include all Wii U launch titles. We will do that in actually probably the next podcast, because that podcast will have the date and will be just before the Wii U launch. So,
I guess to talk about another game that gets a throwback to some of the older games, I'm kind of excited for Adventure Time, not just because I like Wayfinder, but because it takes a couple of hints from Zelda 2, which is very underappreciated in my opinion. So I'm really excited about that.
Yes.
We really need.
I'm a big Adventure Time fan too, so.
We've been in dire need of a spiritual successor of some kind to Zelda 2.
and actually Zelda 2 is making its way on the Virtual Console soon for the 3DS.
Nice time to pick it up if you haven't already played it, because it's a good game, no matter what everybody else.
Right. If you weren't an ambassador, which you've already had it for about a year now, you can pick it up coming up soon.
Any other comments on these games? Anybody excited for Halo 4?
I kind of am. I quite like the Halo series. But I might not be able to get Halo 4 until Christmas, because just too much stuff coming out in November.
Yeah, same here. I'm obviously picking a Wii U up over the Halo 4 game, but my friend has already got it pre-ordered. Yes. My friend already has it pre-ordered and everything, so I plan on playing a whole bunch of that in the days leading up to the Wii U's release. So we are going to have a lot of LAN parties, and maybe I'll figure out that Halo 4 is actually the scariest game ever.
Wow, I'm so excited for Power Illusions. I forgot about Paper Mario.
Which looks actually pretty cool. Sticker Star Nunabytes, not just sticker, by the way.
Who wrote it down as sticker?
Paper Mario sticker.
That's actually speaking of Sticker Star. Like, if anyone didn't know, yesterday on Thursday, there was the Nintendo Direct, and I believe they showed off. What did they show off? They showed off a bunch of stuff. They showed off Fire Emblem. They showed off the new title for Animal Crossing, which is Animal Crossing: A New Leaf.
Okay.
And I thought they showed off something else.
Before you go any further, does anyone else think that the new leaf on the Animal Crossing logo looks like just a really bad Photoshop? Because
I know that was my first thought. The logo does not look good.
Yeah, the logo is just
actually, to me, the leaf actually looks like from Super Mario 3D Land. Actually, looks like the leaf you get to turn into the Tanuki.
Yeah, I thought that kind of too. Like, ever since the first Animal Crossing game, I think that's what it's been based off of. But yeah, I really don't like that. They also
I always
talked
found
about
it weird that in the Animal Crossing universe, a leaf represents furniture.
They also during the Nintendo Direct they talked about Professor Layton, the Miracle Mask.
Yes, which is actually coming out this Tuesday.
There will be a review for that.
That was not the list.
Yeah, in
fact, I can guarantee that my three, because now I've never played. I mentioned this before. I've never played a Professor Layton, but my girlfriend has, and she doesn't have a 3DS yet, so she's really picky with colors. So I know my 3DS is going to disappear probably for a week or so.
And they also talked about some games we don't care about, Style Savvy, Trendsetters, and Crosswords Plus, and girl games, you know. Sorry, Ninobites.
Most of all, Fire Emblem. Come on, I think everybody knows out of all that news, unless of course you're Deadly, who prefers.
Hey, I never said I didn't like Fire Emblem.
Fire Emblem.
I think everybody should get excited for Fire Emblem on the 3DS.
I will pick it up. I will
actually
definitely pick it up.
I am more excited about the fact that it's going to have DLC than anything else. Like, it's just going to be so awesome. It's going to, I'm looking forward to seeing how they're going to utilize DLC for it.
Yeah, they already have some DLC over in Japan, and apparently it was pretty darn good. And I am very much so looking forward to Fire Emblem Awakening.
Yeah.
Is that really wanted Advance Wars 3DS?
Is that its official subtitle in the US? I know it's called Awakening in Japan, but is it called Awakening here?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure.
Alright.
Yes, it is.
Because I remember at, the indie after E3, they talked about it very briefly, and they just called it Fire Emblem, so I wasn't sure about that.
Yeah, so I think that was it. It's not exactly what I was hoping for. I was hoping that Nintendo would disclose their online stuff and all that stuff that not only us but developers don't know yet. So I don't know.
It's a little early, but I was hoping for Bravely Default.
That's funny. Tricky, were you talking about the online?
Please enter your password.
The toll-free number you have dialed has been disconnected. No further information is available about this number. 027P.
There you have it. You guys might not think that stuff is very scary, but we do. We do. I guess we have what's next, you guys? We got a breakdown of upcoming titles. Someone wanted to rattle
since
that off.
Our next podcast won't be until next month, we might as well tell you what's going to come out next month anyway. Do you want me to read this off, guys? Or anybody else want to take it? So, on November 6th, we have Harvest Moon: A New Beginning for the 3DS. We also have Mass Effect Trilogy for the Xbox and PC. Apparently the PS3 one is coming out on a later date. We also have Halo 4 for the Xbox 360. We also have Little Big Planet Karting for the PS3 on November 11th. We have Paper Mario Sticker for the 3DS. On November 13th, we have Call of Duty Black Ops 2 for the PC, Xbox 360, PS3, and of course the Wii U version is coming out later. We also have Call of Duty Black Ops Declassified for the PS Vita. Lego Lord of the Rings will be available for all current platforms on November 13th as well. On November 18th, if you don't know that date, mark it down on your calendar. Damn it, you should. We have Epic Mickey 2, which will be available for the Xbox 360, PS3, PC, Wii, and Wii U. Epic Mickey Power of Illusion, which will be available on the 3DS. We also have Sonic All-Star Racing Transformed, which will be available on the 3DS, PS3, Vita, and Wii U, and Xbox 360. We also have Adventure Time, which will be available on November 20th for the DS and 3DS. Also coming out on November 20th will be Hitman Absolute for PC, PS3, Xbox 360, Persona 4 Golden for PlayStation Vita, PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale for PS3 and PS Vita, and finally we have the Resistance Saga Collection for the PlayStation 3. Do you guys have anything else to add?
I don't have anything to add, but I just wanted to make a comment on a couple of the titles really quick. Anyone else, I'm pretty sure everybody is, but for those who haven't heard, the Wii U is getting the Mass Effect 3, and then EA turned around, and Xbox and PC and PS3 are getting the trilogy, and they really just completely left out the Wii U out of this. I don't know, I think that's kind of a ridiculous move.
I'm sure it'll be a DLC.
I just get the feeling EA is going to turn around, they're going to see Mass Effect 3 didn't sell all that long and go, oh, guess people don't want hardcore games on the Wii U then.
I really, really like your impression of EA. If it had a personality,
that's just what their CEO really literally sounds like.
So now everyone knows Electronic Arts sounds like a really jerky British dude.
That's just my voice for dumb people.
I also want to comment too. Now, I think a lot of people I've been talking to don't really know that Epic Mickey Power of Illusion for the 3DS is different than Epic Mickey 2. And I like to point out that everybody should check that out because, especially older gamers like myself, growing up, some of my favorite Sega games were Mickey Mouse and the Castle of Illusion and the World of Illusion, and Power of Illusion is actually a sequel, sort of say, from World of Illusion, and Castle of Illusion rather, and it's gonna be that same style. It's the 2D platforming, same kind of art style. It actually shares all the same music as that, but also introduces some of the elements from Epic Mickey. So, especially people like retro, old-school platformers, this might be a good game to look into, but I want to share my distaste for the date, because it is coming out on the 18th, which is the same day the Wii U is coming out, so even though I'm picking it up, I probably will not be touching it for quite
I would
a
like to point, this is actually one of the games I'm so excited for. I was such, a huge lover of Castle of Illusions when I was younger, but, the creator, or the guy who was directing this project, he, when you listen to his interviews, you can tell he poured his soul into this game. So the fact that they decided to line it up with the Wii U launch makes me so sad, and I hope the game sells well because it looks like a really good game, and I'm more than excited for it. I get Epic Mickey similar date, kind of like the Call of Duty games, but it's just I don't understand why they would pair a 3DS game with the Wii U launch at all, but it's whatever.
I think it's just to coincide with Epic Mickey 2 itself, which just happens to be on the 18th. Which reminds me, at the start of the year, they said Epic Mickey 2 wasn't coming to the Wii U at all, and now apparently it is. They went back on their word a bit there, but I guess it's in a good way.
They probably just want to cover up and have it be a surprise later. But if anybody, even if you don't have a Sega Genesis, to play like Castle World Illusion. I don't even remember if there were. I think there were versions on the Super Nintendo. I mean, but I don't know. I grew up as a Sega kid, so. But you can always get them on emulators, and I highly recommend it. It's just a really fun platformer, and I like Epic Mickey, the first game on the Wii. It was okay. I can't say I was, super excited about it. It's not one of my top favorite games, but it's not horrible. But this game, I already have a feeling that this is going to be one of my top, 3DS games, period. Just because of just for nostalgia purposes and how they're doing it, and they're doing it in line with the old games. And, I may be like a 28-year-old male, but I grew up with Disney, I love Disney, so I'm looking forward to it even more.
Let me just say real quick that we as a podcast don't support emulators in any way whatsoever. And also, secondly, the list we just listed off obviously does not include all Wii U launch titles. We will do that in actually probably the next podcast, because that podcast will have the date and will be just before the Wii U launch. So,
I guess to talk about another game that gets a throwback to some of the older games, I'm kind of excited for Adventure Time, not just because I like Wayfinder, but because it takes a couple of hints from Zelda 2, which is very underappreciated in my opinion. So I'm really excited about that.
Yes.
We really need.
I'm a big Adventure Time fan too, so.
We've been in dire need of a spiritual successor of some kind to Zelda 2.
And actually, Zelda 2 is making its way on the Virtual Console soon for the 3DS.
Nice time to pick it up if you haven't already played it, because it's a good game, no matter what everybody else.
Right. If you weren't an ambassador, which you've already had it for about a year now, you can pick it up coming up soon.
Any other comments on these games? Anybody excited for Halo 4?
I kind of am. I quite like the Halo series. But I might not be able to get Halo 4 until Christmas, because just too much stuff coming out in November.
Yeah, same here. I'm obviously picking a Wii U up over the Halo 4 game, but my friend has already got it pre-ordered. Yes. My friend already has it pre-ordered and everything, so I plan on playing a whole bunch of that in the days leading up to the Wii U's release. So we are going to have a lot of LAN parties, and maybe I'll figure out that Halo 4 is actually the scariest game ever.
Wow, I'm so excited for Power Illusions. I forgot about Paper Mario.
Which looks actually pretty cool. Sticker Star Newtobites, not just sticker, by the way.
Who wrote it down as sticker?
Paper Mario sticker.
That's actually speaking of Sticker Star. Like, if anyone didn't know, yesterday on Thursday, there was the Nintendo Direct, and I believe they showed off. What did they show off? They showed off a bunch of stuff. They showed off Fire Emblem. They showed off the new title for Animal Crossing, which is Animal Crossing: A New Leaf.
Okay.
And I thought they showed off something else.
Before you go any further, does anyone else think that the new leaf on the Animal Crossing logo looks like just a really bad Photoshop? Because
I know that was my first thought. The logo does not look good.
Yeah, the logo is just
actually, to me, the leaf actually looks like from Super Mario 3D Land. Actually, looks like the leaf you get to turn into the new pieces.
Yeah, I thought that kind of too. Like, ever since the first Animal Crossing game, I think that's what it's been based off of. But yeah, I really don't like that. They also
I always
talked
found
about
it weird that in the Animal Crossing universe, a leaf represents furniture.
They also during the Nintendo Direct they talked about Professor Layton, the Miracle Mask.
Yes, which is actually coming out this Tuesday.
There will be a review for that.
That was not the list. Yeah.
Yeah, in
fact, I can guarantee that my 3, because now I've never played. I mentioned this before. I've never played a Professor Layton, but my girlfriend has, and she doesn't have a 3DS yet, so she's really picky with colors. So I know my 3DS is going to disappear probably for a week or so.
And they also talked about some games we don't care about, Style Savvy, Trendsetters, and Crosswords Plus, and girl games, you know. Sorry, Nunabites.
Most of all, Fire Emblem. Come on, I think everybody knows out of all that news, unless of course you're Deadly, who prefers.
Hey, I never said I didn't like Fire Emblem.
Fire Emblem.
I think everybody should get excited for Fire Emblem on the 3DS.
I will pick it up. I will
actually
definitely pick it up.
I am more excited about the fact that it's going to have DLC than anything else. Like, it's just going to be so awesome. It's going to, I'm looking forward to seeing how they're going to utilize DLC for it.
Yeah, they already have some DLC over in Japan, and apparently it was pretty darn good. And I am very much so looking forward to Fire Emblem Awakening.
Yeah.
Is that
really wanted Advance Wars 3DS.
Is that its official subtitle in the US? I know it's called Awakening in Japan, but is it called Awakening here?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure.
Alright.
Yes, it is.
Because I remember at, the indie after E3, they talked about it very briefly, and they just called it Fire Emblem, so I wasn't sure about that.
Yeah, so I think that was it. It's not exactly what I was hoping for. I was hoping that Nintendo would disclose their online stuff and all that stuff that not only us but developers don't know yet. So I don't know.
It's a little early, but I was hoping for Bravely Default.
That's
but
funny. Tricky, were you talking about the online for the Wii U or?
Well, yeah, because I was still there's still so much on the Miiverse. I've been hearing conflicting reports. For instance, I want to said before that when you turn on the Wii U, the first thing you're gonna see is gonna be the Miiverse. But now there was a report earlier from a Canadian Nintendo rep, which everyone knows how those are the best sources for all information. Hint, 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 wink, wink, wink. But they said that the Miiverse is actually going to have to be downloaded after the fact, so that would definitely clash with Iwata saying that as soon as you turn it on, it's the first thing that pops up.
Well then.
But we have rambled on for far too long this fine night.
I can go on this topic forever, so I'll stop
for next
there.
week.
And,
next podcast,
yeah.
Whenever we talk about it. Silence.
Yeah. Well, it'll be in 2 weeks.
What's the date on that, actually? Our next podcast is actually going to be the 9th of November, so that'll actually... that'll be the 9th, so that'll actually be the last podcast we have before the Wii U launches.
Yes! And we'll make sure that on the 23rd we talk all about the Wii U for those who get it.
Yeah, so our next podcast will be the last before Wii U launches. Will be a Wii U extravaganza,
and it's still going to be 5 days before it comes out in Europe.
No, not Tricky. You're Deadly. I'm sorry, Deadly.
Tricky.
Tricky, you're in Europe too.
Mate. What are you talking about?
What?
Highlight of this episode: Tricky doing a British accent.
The funny
Look,
thing is,
I can make fun of your accents too, okay?
Hey man, I do not make fun of British accent. I think the British accent is wonderful, and we have a friend of the family who worked for us for a long time who has a British accent, and she's from Manchester. And every time she talks, I just stand there and I zone out just because I enjoy hearing her accent.
Okay, Grandpa,
Manchester
we can
accent
talk about
is way different to London accent though. To an English person, they all sound different.
All right, Grandpa. Well, we can
I
talk
can
about your
understand
all your stories later. We
What
should
kind
wrap
of
this up.
Is that
Because-
British or Russian?
Because in Mother Russia, podcast in you.
In Soviet Russia, you talk, we listen. And that was We Talk, You Listen.
But anyways, guys, thanks for tuning in to our third podcast. Listen for our next podcast, which will be a Wii U extravaganza. And yeah, so this is Tricky signing out.
This is Soulburst, and I say goodbye to all.
This is Deadly Virus, and I'm now
No, I'm not
American.
gonna entertain you guys. Make